It's an amazing time to be a part of the momentum that we're experiencing. AFO kind of went through an evolution over the last 4 years, and so we went from being a fiscal agent to now offering programs to the community.
If you look at the mission statement of AFO, it's to improve the lives of Oklahomans and their families with autism. It's fairly broad because we have our hands in a lot of different areas. We work in workforce development, we have early childhood development, public health and safety, criminal justice reform, obviously advocacy and awareness, and then we host social gatherings in the Oklahoma City and Tulsa area.
So serving the lifespan as just an organization, that's our charge. We want to be involved in every aspect of how an individual would operate within their community, right? So from early childhood all the way on to educational services, K through 12, transitioning to higher education or employment or other opportunities, we want to make sure we're there with all of the autistic individuals in Oklahoma.
Our team does an amazing job of really implementing a holistic approach to serving the autism community in Oklahoma. We're training childcare providers for families. We're training healthcare providers for individuals to have a better experience in clinics across the state. And we're also training employers. Of all disability categories, autism has the highest unemployment rate. And it's really amazing to see our lead training take off in the way that it has and be able to train all different sizes of businesses in all areas of the state.
Looking at the K through 12 system, AFO really wants to make sure that these students are graduating and equipped to go on to post-secondary education, whether that be higher ed, whether that be vocational schools, or whether that be straight into employment. We want to make sure that every opportunity these students have available to them, they are prepared for and they know their resources that are open.
Over our last fiscal year, we traveled over 7,000 miles throughout the state to provide our trainings. We have trained all 77 counties and their health departments. We've worked with 5 tribes. We have provided over 230 some sensory kits. We have also moved into distributing our sensory kits nationwide. We have been able to serve over 254 autistic individuals and parent caregivers that have been a part of our socials. We now have 3 socials that we do monthly, one in Oklahoma City for autistic and neurodivergent adults, and then 2 in Tulsa, one for young autistic and neurodivergent adults, and then another for autistic and disabled adults that we do in partnership with Beyond the Spectrum. We did the first ever Spectrum of Pride event last year as well. No one had done a event that focused on autism and the LGBTQ plus community, and we were able to bring that to the community. I also am the host of our Unmasking Autism with AFO podcast that we started last year during our suicide prevention and awareness campaign. That has been a really great experience, not just for myself, but for us as an organization to really be able to advocate in a very real way and speak to people about living with autism, being a professional who works in the autism field, how people can advocate for themselves, their mental health, their wellness. Last week, I got to travel the state with some of our AFO board members, and we got to shoot our first week of footage for our upcoming documentary, Surviving the Spectrum, thanks in partnership to the Southern Tribal Health Board, who we are just so grateful for, believing in the message that we want to spread. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for autistics with an intellectual disability and the first for those without. I myself fall into that latter category. So to be able to work for an organization that not only allows me the autonomy to thrive as an individual and a person on the spectrum, but to really truly feel the need and see the need and why we need advocacy in the areas that we do, it's just such a blessing.
I work in workforce development, so my job is primarily providing workforce development training to employers throughout the state. It is our lead in neurodiversity in the workplace training. It is a 2-part training in which we meet directly with the employers to educate them on autism, to educate them on IDD, and go over tips and strategies that they can use to make their workplace more inclusive, more accommodating, more accepting to those with neurological differences. Well, I think it goes back to our mission statement, to improve the lives of Oklahomans with autism and their families across the lifespan. So across the lifespan, autistic individuals are going to be adults longer than they're going to be anything else, ideally. So part of being an adult is being able to, get that first apartment, to get that car, to start a family, to have children, get a spouse, go on vacation, be able to engage in your hobbies and your interests. You can't do that without, that financial support. That's where employment comes in. If we increase these employment opportunities for individuals on the spectrum and those with IDD, they will be able to more fully participate in all aspects of society. So one of the things that we do with the Project Safe Stop is mock traffic stops, and where officers get to interact with individuals with autism, and individuals with autism get to go through a scenario of interacting with the police. Interacting with law enforcement is not something that we do every day. For individuals with autism, a disruption to that routine could be really stress-inducing. And for police officers, if we're not an individual with a personal connection to autism, if we don't work in a field related to autism, we may not be that aware of what autism actually looks like. So it's beneficial for both the officers to engage with the individuals and the individuals to engage with the officers.
The demand is higher than ever for services for autistic individuals across the state. With your donation today, we'll be able to expand our workforce development program, offer more mental health resources in the community, more social opportunities, more health equity programs.
One of the reasons why what we do at AFO is so important and will continue to be so as the years go on is, as we see nationally, 1 in 36 children and 1 in 45 adults are being diagnosed with autism. In Oklahoma, it is almost impossible for an adult to get that diagnosis, just to be able to get into the doctor's office. Even for children, you may be on a waiting list that is just too long. And especially for adults, if you don't have the financial means to pay for what your insurance can't cover or whatever it would be, you may go without a diagnosis, which, as we know, can lead to some pretty detrimental mental health issues and even death. One reason we do these socials is, I already told you what the suicide statistic is, but most autistic people have some type of co-occurring health issue or mental health issue. I myself have anxiety and depression. If I was not able to have the social opportunities that I have, I don't know where I would be in the headspace that I'm in. I'm so lucky to be employed by AFO because I beat the statistic of 1 in 85 autistic adults not being able to have employment. But the reason your donations are so important for these socials to continue is because we do have attendees. They can't work or they're on disability, so they don't have those extra funds to spend to do these types of things. And to some people, it may not seem like a second thought. Oh, you can't afford to go to a museum or you can't afford to go to hibachi. But for some people, no, they can. They don't have a job. They're on disability and their medical issues take all of that extra money, but they still deserve the right for good mental health. And socialization does improve your mental health. And that is what we're doing with these socials. Everybody needs a friend and everybody deserves the right to take up space in the world that they live in.
We really have a job to do and we need your help to accomplish that.